let's fast forward to the ᴱᴿShred. So you obviously were watching everything going on with Sean and Jesse, and just like me. And I was terrified of eating red meat. And I don't know about this. And I've gone down this path before, but my results blew my mind. I know that you started about the same time that I did with Ina, and I was like literally biting my nails off, waiting to hear, like, is it going to work for Glenn? Is it going to work for Glenn? What's he going to think? So tell me about, how did you arrive at doing the ᴱᴿShred?
Again, I just kind of peeking at what was going on social media, saw some changes, going on. I saw Sean talking, and I found that fascinating. I heard some conversations about, this unlimited meal, and yet, people were losing this weight. And I'll be honest with you, I know that I have, or I really don't think I have it anymore. I had like some aspect of food addiction. Certainly, and I spoke to you about this earlier, Bob, having a background in allergies and intolerance, we often actually crave our allergy foods, believe it or not. And it's like, same like drugs. You'd think, why would you want something that makes you, that you no longer even, people want heroin, they no longer even get high from it. It's just keeping them alive. It's like comes from a different place. And so I was like that kind of with, like, in certain situations, if we went out and there was bread with the dinner, I was going to have the roll. I could have a certain degree of control, but like not complete. And it certainly felt like deprivation. And the beauty here was, all of a sudden, there was a program, that appeared to not have that deprivation. So that was the original kind of thing that I said, ooh, for me, that might be fun if it works, It was really kind of like, whatever, let's just do it. Because I wasn't getting so excited about, hey, let's do another cleanse day. It was like, I wasn't, it was always like, okay, let's gear up. It's time, need to really bring it back in. Everybody has their line, so I'd have my line and I'd bring it back in, start being more strict. Well, I find this program and I decide, what the heck, I tell Ina, so let's do it. Let's try it, And for me, it happened to be, I've been staying away from meat. I'm not a vegan or a vegetarian, and I have been both temporarily in the past, and never really did that well with that. I'm not against it, never had a problem with it, but just didn't appear to be for me. So this was kind of exciting, somebody who had a great reason to have healthy meat. And I was like, wow, that's cool. So doing the program blew my mind, because one is, I so enjoyed it. It was fun, especially in the beginning. It was like, and I thought in my head immediately, I'm thinking, oh man, telling somebody like, hey, so we're going to do this program. Oh, what do we have to do? Oh, we're going to go out for like a tomahawk and we're going to share it, you and me. That's what we're going to do. I was like, this conversation I can have. So we do the program. I feel like, we all know, we're all here on this call, most of us, because we've done it, obviously. Felt great. I was blown away and shocked at the same time, because of the combination. I mean, it's certainly, it's a keto meal for sure, but it is not a keto program. I mean, at all. The minute you put that shake in your system.
For those that don't know, why is it not keto?
Well, the shake certainly has, carbohydrates in the form of, of sugar, healthy sugar. And yet the magic of the shake, which has always been there, and boy, we should even get into that, and has always been there, and the combination of picking the right types of, the problem with keto, or back in the day, it was the Atkins program, we all knew it as, most people picked all the wrong foods, and you still can, and you could do it with this too, but you shouldn't. And we kind of set the ground rules so that you don't. It was like, as long as you weren't having carbs, you could have all the, pork rinds you wanted and stuff like that. And, so it's like, no matter what program you choose, as far as like whether you're a vegetarian, whether you're a meat eater, whether you're a vegan, you can do it unhealthy. You can find, you can screw that up. And so no matter what you're doing, you have to take some, responsibility and start to, as Jesse always says, get your body to totally grow into loving the foods that make you feel good. And that's, for the first time, what I felt in this program. Ina still is like blown away that she doesn't have to say a word to me, and I wouldn't want, a piece of bread if you put it in front of me. It just doesn't appeal to me the same way. I have no problem saying no to it. And that is it's a brand new feeling, you know, that out my isogenics career, that was not the case. So it's given me, and I think anybody who's new, you are so lucky, especially if you're loving this and doing well with it. I mean, come on, this is easy, you know, and what's happened now is I've basically, you know, I've probably done 3 shreds, you know, with the double cleanse days and the whole thing, but I continue to eat that way completely. I'm like on shred life, you know, for sure. And even when we went away, I was able to go on vacation and do it, no problem. It was like,
well, one of the things that John Anderson always used to tell us is to, from a maintenance perspective, he said, you know, you should do a 2-day cleanse about every month to 6 weeks. But he said, everyone's going to be different, but you know, when you start dragging ass and you're kind of like, wow, I'm drinking more coffee than I should, you do a 2-day cleanse as a reset. And the way this thing is kind of set up is we're doing a month-to-month shred, like a group cleanse, right? Yeah. But the element that Jesse likes to talk about is the community. So we've all had our individual communities, and then we're building our teams. And Sean had the brilliant idea, and he kept on telling it. I didn't get it right away. He's like, look, everyone's got their damn little bonfire. He said, but let's bring your logs over to my fire or our fire, and we'll build the biggest bonfire in the world. Because right now we're all burning, but we're not burning as bright as we could if we were together. So what is your experience with the Shred community?
I think it's brilliant. And I liked the idea right from the get-go. One was, wherever there's mass excitement, why do you want to separate from that? Like, add to that. Mm-hmm. It only helps everybody. And the beauty is here, like, I think Sean's had stuff going on this week and everything's going as planned. You know, the calls still take place. New people can come on board. Everybody's getting help. There's always somebody online to answer a question. If somebody has a question, that is something people complain about left and right in the industry. So the beauty here is you can send somebody to like a whole community that isn't branded as isogenics per se. It's branded around the result and the program we're doing, which is just kind of unique.
I'm a bit surprised that it took all these years for someone like Sean to say, hey, let's do the elimination aspect and let's eliminate all the carbs in the front end. Because when we did it the old way, we would say, eat a balanced meal of 400 to 600 calories. And I don't know about you, but I was like, 400 to 600 calorie meal, and I got to eat a balanced meal at that. I go, what the heck can I eat? You know, like, I'm thinking of like a plate size like that, you know, and it just wasn't in my mindset. I'm like, I'm going to be starving on this damn thing. Now I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I haven't even tried to add it up, but I'll have a ribeye, 1 pound ribeye lathered in butter, at least 2 tablespoons or good sized tablespoon. And then I sometimes put mushroom. Now that I'm beyond my culprits, mushrooms agree with me. So I add mushrooms on top and whatever, but I'm not counting calories. But what I'm finding though, is that I did first 11 day. I felt so good. I kind of, as Sean said, we woke up. I was like, holy shit, I actually feel really good. I want to do this again. So I did it again. And then I did it again. And I was almost trying to prove it wrong. Like, I've got to get to a point where I don't feel good. Right. But I just was like, unbelievably, this is amazing. And then I had Thanksgiving dinner with a little bit of stuffing. That's all my cheat was: gravy and stuffing and turkey. But that was enough to make me feel like the next day, like, this, you know, I'm not feeling good.
It's a no-brainer, almost takes the coaching completely out of it. Almost not necessary. And when we say coaching, it's usually about like a question. It's somebody's having a question. Either I don't feel good, you're right, something's going on, I don't feel right, or am I doing this right? And both of those things are easily handled even by the community. So yes. Even if you're not around, our community is so in tune, and it's such a simple program, that they know the answers. And the other thing you talked about was elimination. Now that's an interesting concept that has never been introduced within the nutritional realm of isogenics. Nobody's ever played with that. It makes total sense because obviously, as Sean was trying to, battle his own health problems and try to find a solution. Most people will find themselves, and I think it was Jesse who told them, you better start from scratch and like start, making the slate blank so we can figure what the heck this is, which is exactly what most nutritionists do. And say like, look, we got to start from, we got to create a blank slate and get you to understand what may or may not be affecting you. So while in all fairness, it's possible that somebody can be intolerant to even meat, or something else that's part of our program. It's not as common. Mm-hmm. It's not as common. And because they're not doing so many of the other inflammatory or culprit items that are so common in the allergy and intolerance world, that like way over 90% just do phenomenal from it. And then because you're doing that, you've set them in a place where they actually can do a classic elimination, where they can say like, now that you haven't been eating this stuff, why don't we introduce slowly and see what it is? And people are like, holy crap, I never knew that this type of garlic. I remember somebody early on said it was like a garlic that they were using out of a container as opposed to fresh garlic, or that they were making. But if they used it out of that container, they were having a problem. And they used to use it like on everything. They loved. And I was like, and that's it. That was my specialty in chiropractic during my last period before I sold. I was a specialist like nationwide on something called NAET, the Nambudrapad Allergy Elimination Technique. An Indian doctor, she was a chiropractor, an acupuncturist, and a medical doctor who became so intolerant to her foods as a child. And as she grew up, her body just shut off. It came to a point she couldn't eat anything. It was like, because what happens is your body goes into fight or flight. It just assumes that this is a poison, and it starts to react. So we are doing such a service by introducing this program to people, way beyond like weight loss that people are trying to get and things like that. So many people are going to get introduced to a system that allows them to figure out what's going on with their food. Ina's whole life is now about really the psychology of food. She has 2 programs that she does, and I'm not pitching them, I'm not getting, one's basically a sugar detox, and that's why, because once people get off sugar, it's like they're off drugs. It's like taking somebody off of heroin. It's no different. It's like the same thing. You light up and you start to change. Her other thing works with, and we have a number of ER shredders as well as other people from the company doing, is based on just like the inside problems with food addiction. What causes you to gravitate towards things, and just, becoming like really focusing on intuitive eating, really, and things like that. So it's funny that this would evolve when it does, because it just seemed like the whole world, and that's how my life is always like that. Things just show up always at the right time. So as far as really trying to get overall, help, which is always what we're moving, this is the program that, we usually, it's the easiest program to start with. It's like a kind of a no-brainer.
I'll say this every single time. I owe my rebirth, my second life, to Sean and Crystal, to Sean. And thank God he didn't get pissed off at me, because he kind of did when I told him that, man, you're gonna tell everybody to eat red meat and that's it. I go, you're gonna lose a lot of people. That dog doesn't hunt. I don't see that happening. He's like, oh, God damn it. Wouldn't you just give me some love? Just give me a chance. He goes, yeah. You and Peter and he said, none of you guys want to buy into this. I'm glad I did, but I look at it as a second chance. Now I'm proud to say I'm an ER shredder. So thank you, Glenn. I appreciate your time tonight.